All right, Jen. So we don't want to be stressed.
Right.
We don't want our dog stressed. We don't want to be stressed.
Nobody wants to be stressed.
And one way we can prevent being stressed and our dogs being stressed is by feeding them really well in terms of like food. And we just want to welcome you back again.
Thank you
and
very
we just
much.
wanted to kind of tie up some loose ends we thought that maybe we didn't get to last time. So we wanted to talk about like a little more about the nutrition.
Okay.
And how you decided what to put into your snacks and your supplements. Yuki, please dive in because I know you feed your dogs really well.
Right.
And then we also have the AAFCO. So if you want to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Association of American Feed Control Officers. Each state has their own. That's what the AAFCO is, if I said that too fast for anyone. They have offices in each state, and they run what they basically do the rules, so to speak. It's not the FDA, it's the AAFCO, and they have ingredients that they is generally considered safe or generally something as safe. But those ingredients are ones that are used in tons of different brands of dog food and treats. And then if you go off of that list, then, that's where you're submitting your formulations and the like.
Okay. So this is like the FDA for dogs.
For dog food and dog, for all livestock feed,
gonna say,
for pet feed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
Interesting.
great, yeah, you're right. In my world, it's just for pet treats, but for everyone else, it is. Yeah. So generally regarded as safe. And if you look on your pet's food or even on your horse's food or whatever, somewhere on there, you'll find that they will have written, this food is up to AAFCO standards.
Okay.
And things like that. So eventually, I think there's maybe a bill they're thinking about putting through to make the FDA do. But right now, it's the AAFCO. They've been doing a great job for many, many, many years.
Okay.
So, yeah. My products and everything, I like to do limited ingredients. I so far haven't dived into single ingredients yet, although I highly recommend them. Those are great products. But right now I do limited ingredients, and I do that because I want them whole and natural and easily digestible. And, I'm not trying to create dog food yet. I'll say yet. Talk to me again in 10 years. But right now, everybody spends a lot of time looking at their dog food and looking what's in it. And then they'll just toss them any old treat and maybe be undoing some of what they're doing. And I just want to make it so it's easy for people to also give a healthy treat.
Oh my gosh, that's actually a great point. And Yuki, I'm going to throw this to you if you don't mind, because I know you have revamped, and I know we touched on this in the last podcast that we did with you, Jen. But Yuki, you can just talk a little bit about, what you were feeding your dogs and what you are now. But it's so important, like Jen, like you said, like it's, what are we feeding our dogs? But then we give them any old treat.
Right.
Okay. I have to relate the story. It kind of sounds weird, but when I was young, a little young kid with my dog, we used to feed him little treats here and there, And so one day I was sitting there and going, this is what we feed our dog when we give him treats. And so I decided to taste it.
I was like, I know where this is going.
I used to eat my dog's dog food when I was a little girl.
I started eating this dog treat. And it's hard, because it's supposed to be dry for the teeth and all that. But it was so sweet. It was like a cookie.
Oh,
interesting.
And once I ate one, I had to eat another one.
Had to. Did you hear that? Had to.
I noticed there was ingredients in there that was beneficial for the dogs because there's like crunchy little things good for their teeth. And maybe not so much for me, but I did notice the sugar content was a little high for a dog treat.
Right.
Were you studying this as a child? Were you really looking at the bag?
No, I was just curious though how it tasted because they seemed to like it.
Okay, but you just could tell that there was sugar or something sweet
it was
in there.
sweet.
Probably
It was-
not sugar, but
yeah.
something.
Maybe molasses.
Luckily,
yeah.
it was a cookie and not like dog food.
So how old were you when you ate the dog food then?
I must have been like maybe 13 or younger.
Well, the cookie. I ate the dog food.
Yeah,
you ate the
it
dog
just
food.
looked like a
Okay.
cookie, and I'm going, man, this dogs like it. Maybe I should see what they like about it so much. And
Okay.
yeah, it was.
Which is funny because back then nowadays many foods and many treats use human grade products,
Oh, for
which are,
sure.
their higher level product. But I think back then you'd be hard pressed to find, especially a dog treat that used human grade ingredients. So you were
Oh,
really
Yeah, I'm
no.
still here, so
doing your
it was
limited
okay, I
study,
guess.
your
Yeah.
non
How long
scientific
did that
study of
dog
one.
live?
It lived a pretty long time. I guess a German Shepherd.
Okay.
All
It got
right.
up to be about maybe over 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
For German, that's
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah.
Because we fed it natural. We got it from a breeder
Okay.
who recommended buying this hamburger patty, but it was dog grade, not human grade, which is all byproduct of cows and stuff. But it looked
Right.
like hamburger, and we didn't give it to him raw. But we kind of cooked it a little bit, put an egg in it,
Oh, yeah.
and it was
Oh, wow.
healthy.
You were ahead of your
I was going to
time.
say you were a
Well,
pioneer in the field
Wow.
right there.
That's
For
what the
Seriously.
breeder was
Yeah.
No, I don't.
recommending back in
Yeah.
the day.
And we don't
Yeah.
They
recommend
gave
breeders, but
them
anyway,
good food,
Right.
real food, and not this packaged
that's
stuff.
incredible. I
That
didn't know that story.
Yeah. That's
So
impressive. That's really pioneering.
yeah,
It
well,
really
You
is.
know.
So transition that to like your dogs today,
so
because like I said,
today,
I know you
it's
feed them very
expensive to
well.
feed them
It is.
pure protein, natural food because any kind of protein, cows, pigs, whatever, it's relatively more expensive than kibble.
Right.
Yeah.
Because kibble's got a lot of cereal and
A
stuff
lot
in
of
there,
carb in
filler.
there that
Yeah,
not as expensive as
yeah,
protein.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I do give them a little kibble, but more for their teeth.
Right.
Keep the tartar off. But I give them like two chicken breasts that I boil, and a couple of raw eggs sometimes.
Do you add some chopped up carrots or any kind of vegetable to that?
I haven't given them a lot of vegetables. I do give them rice sometimes.
Oh, okay.
White rice.
Yes, white rice.
So if I could just interject quickly and ask a question. So with what you're talking about, and Jen, what you were talking about, there are standards that
Right.
the government has set.
Sure.
So what ingredients would be in, like Yuki, you were talking about carbohydrates and stuff, like what ingredients would be in food now that would not necessarily be beneficial for our dogs, and then talking about like why you decided to start creating, like
Oh,
where did you
okay.
see the hole?
Okay, so that's excellent. And I did want to call out the white rice. Dogs absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And
Better than
um,
brown, right? There's a debate, I think. I'm not sure.
people like to say brown's better, especially long grain brown rice,
Okay.
because the bran is in it.
Okay.
However, new studies, in fact, we were just talking about studies, and I won't digress too long, but a new study I just read yesterday talks about with white rice, if you want to retain that, the benefit of the complex carb, which is what the brown rice offers, then just after you make it, put it in the fridge overnight. Make sure that it's
Oh,
cooled down, and
it
it breaks
releases
up
it?
some of the
Okay.
chains
Mm.
in the carb,
Okay.
and it makes it into a different kind of chain that our body then doesn't turn into sugar right away.
I
Whereas
heard
if
of
you just
that.
eat it
Yes.
warm, and you can reheat it
Mm-hmm.
after it's cooled, and
Okay.
you'll still say, you'll keep
Yeah,
that
I
benefit.
heard
So
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Same thing
so
for dogs? We talking about us or dogs?
well, I'm talking
Both.
about both. Yeah,
Okay.
in that
Yeah.
particular
Amazing.
digestive way,
Okay.
we are different species, so not everything's the same, but in that particular
Yeah,
thing,
it's the
this
same.
is the same. Yeah,
Amazing. Okay.
exactly. Rice is a great thing. I have stayed away from, I use different rices in one of the products, but I have stayed away from wheat.
Okay.
And now fully going away from wheat is a personal choice for everyone. Some people choose it, but think about celiac disease. So, not very many humans have celiac disease. Not very many dogs are really gluten allergic.
Intolerant. Right.
However, intolerant is a different word. Even
Okay.
people who don't have celiac sometimes notice if they get a little bit too much bread in their lives, then they're feeling sluggish or whatever. And there is a little intolerance there, or it's a buildup of having too much. So staying away from wheat when I know that not everyone feeds a wheat-free diet is something that I've chosen to do, just because you can have some digestive issues and that kind of thing. And again, I wanted to be very limited ingredients, so I stayed away from that. I stayed away from soy. Soy is a good source of protein, but again, we're just a treat and supplement company at this point. So I didn't want to introduce soy. Pet's main meal that the pet parent has decided on
Okay.
is probably going to have the sufficient. They're not usually giving the treat to give the protein boost. And plus, we have peanut butter in ours, and that has protein. Soy also has something called trypsin. It's not tryptophan, but it confuses me a little bit in that. And that can actually be an anti product. And what I say in that is that it can actually interrupt dogs actually absorbing the nutrients of their
Oh,
food.
interesting.
So I just decided, there's no need. And then there have been some reports of thyroid issues. However, I can't cite my study on that. So I'm
Yeah.
going to
Okay.
just sort of leave that there. And then corn, corn, everybody loves to beat up on corn. Really,
So I was
corn.
going to ask you, like, what are like so the top ingredients that we see in like our not over the counter, but like your big brands of dog
Right.
food that you can
The
go
cheap
into any
ones.
store. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the ingredient, one of them is corn.
Right. Corn.
Okay.
And you see wheat in there.
So what does
too, and
corn
yeah.
do like for
So
a dog?
corn really it's a bulker, it's a filler. It's if your first ingredient on your dog food is corn, then I would highly recommend you make a different choice perhaps or look at something different. And people say, oh, it's bad for dogs, and it can. Like, never feed a corn cob to a dog. It's a choking hazard like
Oh, for
crazy, and there's
sure.
it damn near impossible. They can digest them, but it's so hard, and you're getting them a tummy ache.
Well, they could eat the corn kernels itself, but not the cob. In other words,
Yeah, it just kind of depends on where you are in different parts of the country. But the kernel, especially like canned corn for kernels, the salt content is huge in that.
Yeah.
So again, you just want to watch.
yeah.
You just
Well-
want to watch a little bit for that.
Dogs are partly omnivorous, but not that much. When I was a student
Can
in
you
college,
define that word, Yuki?
omnivorous.
Yes.
You
Can
could
you
eat-
spell it first?
Not right now.
OMNI.
But omnivorous.
I got the first
You
four
could eat
for you.
both meat and plants.
Right. Yes.
But-
a true
Yeah.
omnivore.
When I was a student in college and I was a biology major and all this, and we studied animals, and one of the subjects was teeth. When you look at animals' teeth, you could tell basically what they're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And dogs don't have like molars like a cow.
Right.
Cows eat nothing but vegetables, and they're meant
Cows
to
are
eat vegetables.
herbivores. Yes. Yeah.
And they could eat the corn, the wheat, and all that
Right.
because they're made. That's how they're made.
Right.
But dogs, their molars don't have the flat surfaces to grind corn and wheat and all the plant material. They could still eat it, but they're not meant to have it as a whole or a majority of part of their food.
Correct.
They're more carnivores. They
Yeah.
eat
Yeah.
meat.
Yeah, I mean, cats are true obligate carnivores. You could take out on cats all the carb out for them and just have fat and protein, and they'd live long, happy lives. Dogs are more omnivorous. They are very much. They can have. That's why you can give them broccoli and carrots for treats.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
And
Go ahead.
cats, their jaws don't move sideways when they chew. They only go
Right.
up and down. Dogs can move a little bit sideways so they can grind some of the vegetable matter.
Right.
So
Exactly.
cats are totally carnivorous.
Yeah, cats are totally carnivorous. If you make your cat a vegan, you've consigned it to a life of about 5 years. So don't do that. But with dogs, yeah, and it makes it kind of fun that dogs can have many different things
Sure.
because it gives you lots of variety.
Yeah.
They're
and that's nice.
reflective of their ancestors, the wolves,
Exactly.
which
Yeah.
which were omnivorous.
Right. And if they, hunted down a deer,
Good job, Yuki.
they ate the deer.
Let me
You're
get
just-
this so I can pronounce get my words better.
Cheers.
We're gonna do a spelling bee afterwards. This is what happens when I don't chime in, people.
If there's
I'm just
4
kidding.
syllables.
So again, and this is, amazing. And I know how much time you take to prepare your dog's food, Yuki, in the morning. And I've done the same thing. I mean, when you have a lot of dogs, like more than one or two, it is expensive. So yeah, so having those natural, like healthy ingredients, that's why I was asking, because most people don't know. And it not that they don't know because they're ignorant. They don't know because, and like we talked about earlier, marketing, right?
Right.
And so you see this
Absolutely.
package or you see it on TV and you're like, oh, well, that dog looks happy. That dog looks healthy. Let's go and buy those treats. But then you look at it like the food that we eat and there's 50,000 ingredients in there. So having a limited ingredient treat
Right.
that will benefit your dog. It certainly
Yeah.
won't harm them. It's going to benefit them and they like it, right? And
And
so that was the missing link for you.
for me, it needed to be where healthy met yummy.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted them to want it, but I wanted us to feel good about giving it. That
Okay.
was really the important
Yay,
thing.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yuki, what were you going to say down there? Are you going to spell a word for us?
No. uh, Definitely, it's good to have healthy treats because, especially if you're going to train a dog
Right.
and you need to give
Yes.
him the reward, you want to give him something healthy, of
Right.
course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I will just call out a little bit about calories too.
Please do.
Look at the calories of what you're feeding your pet. And honestly, turn it over. I invite everybody to turn over the package and look at the ingredients list. It's the first thing I do before I even open or even buy anything for my pet. And that is simply if there is something on there that you can't really say out loud,
Or
it's really,
pronounce.
or like carnivorous or omnivorous, or if it's got that many syllables, then really look into it. And if it's a word you don't recognize, then maybe it doesn't need to go into the product.
Yes.
There's lots of natural ways to preserve things. There's lots of natural ways to add flavoring that you don't have to um, be putting a lot of chemicals in. But do look at the calorie count. There are some treats out there that your pets will absolutely love, and then you'll look at the calorie count and be like, I should be giving them one a month.
Wow. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a
So ours
question.
have 20, 22.
Because honestly, I don't know. And if you don't know, that's okay. So
Yeah.
we count calories and think about what we eat as human beings, right? If we want to
Right.
lose weight or for energy, whatever. So is it the same for our dogs?
Absolutely.
It is. Okay.
Absolutely. If you think of the obesity pandemic in America for humans is huge. It's like 2/3 of Americans are obese. And on dogs, it is the same and it has been rapidly increasing. It's one of the number one reasons that people are visiting the vet. So that's dollars out of your pocket. And there's an old saying in the veterinary industry that if your dog is fat, then you're not getting enough exercise. So,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's
You're not getting enough
right,
exercise.
exactly.
Wow.
And you want to look at the calorie content. And then Yuki, you and I think we're talking about this earlier, the quality
Yes.
of the calories.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you're not giving them junk food. I was giving my cat this one treat she absolutely loves, and it broke my heart to take it away from her, but I did because when I read that ingredient list, my eyes popped out of my head, and then when I looked at the calorie count, I
Calories
was
in it.
just like, you just can't have these.
Well,
And she got over it because now she gets other yummy treats that are
Well,
healthy for her.
animals don't hold grudges, which is one of the best things about them.
well,
It is awesome, yes.
Yeah.
related to that, what you just said, we had a cat that
I guess
we
it's now
gave,
Digger Digger Cat-O's.
we gave him a lot of treats because we thought it was being good to her, the cat, but it was actually a bad thing because it had so much sugar in it.
Mm.
She actually became diabetic.
Oh, yeah.
And
Not
once they
good.
become diabetic, what we had to do was prick her paw, get blood, put a meter on it, get a number
Hmm.
that would tell us how much insulin we had to inject into
So
her
you have,
every
yeah.
morning and night. So
And not everyone,
it could become very serious
right.
when you're
And
not giving the right treats to your animals.
right. And those alpha tracks that you're talking about, those glucometers, they're not cheap. Those
No,
glucometers
insulin is not cheap
that
either.
are just
Yeah.
for pets are not, they're not inexpensive. So
Yeah, so that was a lesson hard learned to make sure the treats are healthy and not full of sugar and carbs.
Well,
right.
even, my dog, Sonny Parker, who is in heaven now, and he came from a rescue, and we used to laugh and call him Loaf of Bread with a Head because his body shape was like, but he was young, when I got him as a puppy. Actually, he came from, I was volunteering at the Carson shelter and I was leaving, and some guy pulled up and he was like, I found this dog at a park, and I took him home, and I was trying to find him another home through a rescue. And at the time, I wasn't feeding them, it wasn't crap food. I always did like a salmon as a protein for my dogs and like sweet potato, but he wound up, he had diabetes. And right before he died, start crying. Probably 4 months before he passed away, maybe even 5. I had revamped my dog's diets. Like they were eating broccoli. I was doing some just food for dogs. I was doing like I was adding stuff in. And the first time I noticed that he was actually having a hard time using the bathroom, like pooping on a walk. And I just thought, well, it's the broccoli. Well, it's the, it's the diet change. But when you own a lot of dogs, like it's to feed, which is why I love your products, because anybody can access them in terms
Right.
of like financially. Anybody can buy some doggy snacks. Anybody can. But when you're feeding 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 dogs, you start to incorporate just things that are better for them. Anyway, so when I finally took him to the vet, because I really just thought, okay, he's constipated. I don't know. Like it's the
Right.
broccoli, whatever. I remember I was at a client's house and you could have knocked me over with a feather. The vet called me and she said, and Yuki, you remember, I mean, because you went to the vet with me, but she said, if you don't hospitalize him right now to the tune of like, I think it was like $10,000 to start just for a couple days. She said, this dog is so sick with diabetes. And I was like, I was clueless. I love my dog. They are my children. I will
Right.
do anything for them. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on vet visits. They get the best of everything that I can do for them. It was so far out of even anything that I could imagine him having.
Right. And there's
And
no shame in not knowing.
I just
There's
didn't
just no
know.
shame
And
in
I
not
brought him
knowing.
home.
Yeah.
They said at that moment that I should just euthanize him. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I drove to the vet. Yuki met me there. Sonny P walked in. His tail was wagging. And, I brought him back here to the foster house. And I think he lived a week. And my other vet, my primary vet, we tried to do some of the insulin shots for him. But his blood sugar was so high. And I guess, and he died in my arms, and it was such a heartbreak for me because he was my youngest dog. He was my youngest dog. But I think, what you're sharing today and what we're talking about nutrition wise is like some people can do the raw food diet. They can give their dogs like money's no object is what I'm saying. But then it's like if you can't do that, there are ways that you can ensure that your dog is still eating healthy without it breaking the bank.
Right.
And I think Sonny P was probably because of his body type actually like kind of predisposed to it because, my other dogs are here. I did lose my dog Blanco to cancer, but he just always was like heavier and always was really hungry. But again, just the nutrition piece of it. It's like everybody can
Right.
do something to make a difference.
Right.
And his loss and him dying to diabetes was really just like, first of all, it's like dogs, and I've been doing this for 15 years, like training and rescuing, like dogs die from diabetes. It was, like I said, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Anyway, so the nutrition piece is super important.
Yeah.
So Jen, if you want to just like share anything else about your products and,
I just created these because I wanted it to be easy to give a nutritious treat. I'm not trying to, take over what you're feeding your pets. I think most people nowadays, or at least I hope most people nowadays, are taking a look at what they're creating in their meal.
Right.
And, just don't undo it by feeding your kid all these healthy meals and then giving them Three Musketeers bars, every day. Every now and again, that's a great treat and that's fine. But you want to be sure,
Halloween.
right? But you want to make sure that,
Yeah.
you're keeping that up, like that you're saying, okay, I'm feeding them healthy meals. I also want to make sure they have healthy snacks.
Yeah.
And they have
Doggy
healthy doggy snacks. Exactly.
And it's small things. It's like if we want to lose weight as individuals, it's like you can't, it's like you do little things one at a time. And again, that's why I share that story. And sorry if I went long, but it's the few things that you do that start to change your dog's coat, their health, their allergies, their, like you talked about, wheat and corn and all of those things that
right.
are used as fillers,
Yeah.
but are not necessarily, like as a trainer, I would never train with a chicken treat because
Right.
so many dogs have allergies, especially like the pit bulls,
Right.
predisposed to having
Right.
allergies to chicken. So yeah, what you've done, and I love that you saw like a need in the market.
Right.
And not only did you make the packaging great, which we talked about earlier, but you incorporated some ingredients that dogs love and are good for them and are not going to harm them.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so
Yes.
if you see a frivolous little package with all kinds of a little pig and a little heart and a little bee swirling across
I
there,
love
then
it.
you'll know you found
Yes.
doggy snacks.
That is
Yay.
What's
healthy and buy it, please.
exactly what's outside is frivolous, but I'm very serious about what's inside.